friends, welcome back to the Film Alchemist podcast, the show where we take the movies we love, break them apart, to find out what gives them their magic. I'm your host, Josh Grivey, joined as always by our friend, co-host, and returning doll-making champion, Carmelita Valdez McKoy. Welcome back.
Hi, friend.
You thought you'd heard the end of Carmelita? You fucking fools. You children. No, as is always the case, we sent up the call for help. Carmelita obliged. So we have two more at this point. It might end up being 10. We don't know. Amazing Carmelita films to add to the list. So today we are here to talk about Longlegs. I would say maybe the most interesting, controversial, big horror movie release of the year, right?
Accurate.
Yeah, this was kind of like, this will be the horror movie of the year that I think everyone remembers, right? For many reasons. Before that, guys, if you want all the episodes, not just the Carmelita episodes, you got to go to patreon.com/filmalchemistpod. We have 3 episodes over there, including a house feature-length commentary, amazing Japanese horror film, and 2 movies that our patrons are going to vote on and pick what they want to hear over on patreon.com/filmalchemistpod. It's the best way to help the show. Please help us over there. It would mean the world to us. All right. Longlegs. So, this is the 3rd time I've watched it to get ready for this pod. I feel like my reactions have been thus. I'll just set the stage, and then we'll go.
Please do.
First time we saw it, me and my buddies, right? We were getting all the marketing for this movie was incredible. We were fucking pumped. We were ecstatic. I ignored the red flag of, this is the scariest movie since Hereditary. You know, like they do that, like whenever
Yes.
a movie's like, this is the scariest movie since whatever. Like when The Witch
Please
came,
stop doing
scariest
this.
movie since The Exorcist. And you're like, that's usually a red flag for me, right? Me and my friends were like appalled in the theater. We were laughing at it. We went out to the lobby and we're like, was that movie just a crock of shit? We're like, was this just like a terrible, dumb, horrible film? And we were the opposite. We're like, thank God Nick Cage was in that movie to give us something to at least like about it, because we hated it. Second time, watched it with my wife to get, all right, I'll see what she thought about it, because it did stick with me, right? There's something about it. Mm-hmm. Liked it way more the second time. Really enjoyed it. I think, and this is kind of what happened to me with The Witch, right? I think there are some movies that once you kind of have done the journey once, you can go back and appreciate it in a different way, right? You don't have expectations anymore. You just see what they're doing. I thought it was much more effective the second time watching it. Watching it again for this pod, I think I'm back to like, meh.
Interesting.
So I'm interested. I've had such a fucking yo-yo journey with this movie, right?
Yeah.
Let's just start here. Well, no, let's just start with opening thoughts. That's what we should do. Because I was going to ask the Nick Cage question, but let's save that. Let's let that marinate a bit. Just what are your opening thoughts on this film?
I largely ignored. I didn't watch a trailer ahead of time. I ignored all the hype. And I, too, as soon as someone says, the scariest movie of the year, the scariest movie of the decade, the scariest movie of the, whatever.
Yeah.
I'm just like, that's bullshit.
Yeah, I'm so immediately uninterested in what comes next normally.
But then my brother sent me a text message, have you seen Longlegs? And then he mentioned Nicolas Cage. I was like, wait, Nicolas Cage is in this?
Now, see, that's what got me, too. As soon as you say Nick Cage, I'm in, no matter what.
So I went and saw this in the theater. I got to tell you, I really enjoyed this. I went in, I just cleared all expectations. I went into this very clean, and I really enjoyed this. And when we walked out of the theater, I was like, I'm going to need to see that again.
Yes. I do think it is one of those, yeah.
There's going to be little things that jump out. This is one that I anticipate wanting to revisit, wanting to analyze. I'm one of those people. My opening thoughts, I think this movie is very much Silence of the Lambs with a dash of True Detective season 1, with a hint of X-Files,
Yeah, more ex. This is let me start here. This is something that
Please.
has fucking driven me nuts. You cannot compare this movie to Silence of the Lambs, except for that it is an FBI person and a serial killer. You could not create in a lab a movie that is less like Silence of the Lambs. No one in this movie is a human being. Nothing that happens in this movie ever feels real. Right? This is a cartoonish fever dream of a movie. Oftentimes to great effect. Like, I'm not sitting here saying that's bad. No one talks like a human being. No one emotes like a human being. Nicolas Cage is 1,000% most definitely not a fucking human being that just likes great big fat women. That's not what this movie is. So other than just the base, it's an FBI agent and a serial killer. Those movies are on the polar fucking opposite ends of what they are trying to do.
I get what you're saying.
Because everyone kept saying that to me, and I was like, you guys are out of your fucking minds.
Yeah, just based on kind of the premise, like at the start. Yes. At the very start, when we have that opening briefing.
Yes.
When they're going to send the agents out door to door.
Yes. Everything makes sense. And I was like, this is like Silence of the Lambs. And then they go, hey, do these fucking abstract tests. And she goes, okay, tiger, couch, mom, dad. And then they're in the car, and what's the Agent Carter goes, half psychic's better than not psychic at all. And I was like, what the fuck is happening? What is going on in this movie? So I think this is the thing. To your point, I do think it's a movie that I have wanted to go back to despite not necessarily loving it, right? I think this movie, it has a style and a gusto that I really love.
Yeah.
I love that this kind of movie's getting made. I love satanic occultist movies. There's a lot of things in this that I really love, right? There's just an energy and a vibrancy to this movie that I love. The problem is, I think all of the other things I love, right? It would remind me of jumping into a swimming pool that was also just, filled with like a little too much acid. Like it's kind of burning my skin. Or like overly chlorinated, right? Like I can do it, but I kind of don't love it, right? It reminds me of something I like, but like, let's just start here. I thought Agent Lee Harker was fucking terrible. Not to be too mean. I actually really like Micah Monroe. I think she's a great actress. She's been in a lot of horror. I loved her in Watcher. She's fucking great. This character blows.
Tell me.
It is tremendously
why.
uninteresting throughout the entire film, right? They play her as this almost like autistic, single-mindedly focused investigator, right?
Right.
Okay.
But there's a reason.
She is so generically uninteresting, off-putting. You never want to spend a second with her in the movie. I don't feel any empathy for her until maybe the very last scene of the movie. Again, this is the thing. Clarice Starling is captivating from the moment she's on the screen and has a very interesting journey and place and this and that. There's just things in this movie that don't work with me with this character, right? Like when Carter's like, I'll drink and you tell me things. But he never like asked how, right? So they've had this code for 20 years. They can't solve like the Longlegs code. She solves it in a day and he's just like, cool. What? No one has any fucking questions about how that happened? There's just shit in this movie that I found her performance so base level off-putting. And I get that she's told to look another direction, even though she's solving the case and they gave her the fucking decoder ring like it was Christmas Story. I think the plot in general in this movie is pretty fucking weak. But I thought her performance at the core of the film puts a hollowness in the middle of this story that adds to this kind of, I can only watch it as an abstract cartoon and not as a real like procedural or emotional journey to me.
See, here's the thing. I get what you're saying about Clarice Starling.
Yes.
In Silence of the Lambs. Here's the thing though. Clarice Starling is not under the control of Longlegs.
Right. She's under the control of the patriarchy.
Because Lee Harker, and we don't know
Yeah.
this the first time we sit through the movie,
Yeah.
but by the end we know, and then in subsequent rewatches, you can see where she's kind of like a doll. She's being controlled by the
Yeah.
doll that
Right.
her mom is keeping in the house,
Sure, I get it.
you know?
Yeah. I'm just saying to put such a vacuous character at the center of your entire fucking movie, and then to have this kind of weird doll thing at the end where you're like, I guess that makes sense, question mark. It's a gamble that didn't pay off for me.
For you. Yeah.
And that's the thing. If she's fighting, like more, emotionally invested in fighting in this case, maybe I would care more. And I don't know, maybe I'm the only one because there's all kinds of shows about, doctors and, investigators on TV, these people that have these like quirks where they're not really human like us, but they're really good at their job. Maybe people like this shit. I found her so unengaging. I couldn't give a shit every time she was on the screen. I was like, at least thank God for Blair Underwood, right? Blair Underwood was wonderful in the film.
Love him.
And I was like, he became like a lifeline. Like every time they were on screen together, you're like, oh, fucking thank God. A kind of character I can like somewhat do this journey with.
Right. Well, and it's like he's our proxy.
Yeah.
He's the one saying the things we're thinking. And
yeah,
when he starts questioning Harker about her mother having made a call about an intruder, about Lee might be connected to this.
Yes.
He's the one that's asking the questions that the audience is asking.
Yeah. Well, we'll just do that now. All of these people fucking suck at their jobs.
Well, they're government employees.
Right, but they're fucking FBI agents. Like, someone should be better at their job, right? The guy who gets shot in the first scene of the movie, all right, I'll give him a pass. That's not what you're expecting on like a Monday morning. That. Sure, I'll give him a pass. Blair Underwood fucking sucks at his job. The fact that he doesn't ask how she decoded the thing super fucking fast, right? The fact that he's like, weird that he even says like, this case has been ice cold and you come in and now it's heating up. Why do you think that is? Ask a fucking question, right? Ask one question. He sees the doll and he's like, all right, well, I guess there's nothing in it. Cool. Like, chase down a fucking lead. How about this? Maybe don't let Lee Harker go in the room with fucking Longlegs without other agents in the fucking room. Like, he clearly has a psychotic fascination with her. Maybe he should be chained up where he can't bash his own fucking face on a table. Like, these people are fucking horrendous at their jobs. At one point, she just hands him a Polaroid picture of Longlegs, and he's like, you sure? You want to start a manhunt over this? And she goes, yes. He goes, all right, cool. And never fucking questions it the rest of the fucking movie. It's fucking insane how stupid every single fucking character is in this movie. And even Micah Monroe doesn't figure shit out that Longlegs doesn't give her the clue. Right? And I get that maybe she's this like doll puppet agent of the fucking, the man downstairs or whatever. I found this brutally hard to stomach at times, how fucking stupid the plot is of this movie. But again, I think that's the Longlegs thing, is they're not selling you an interesting, well thought out plot. They are selling you kind of a spooky ambient music soundtrack, right?
Yes.
Which is very successful at that. But there are just moments that I'm constantly pulled out of the film just going, wait, what? What? That are kind of baffling at times. I don't know if anyone else had that experience. I did.
No, I've heard rumblings of this. Not everybody universally loves this.
No, and that's the thing. I think it's the exact kind of movie I'm always hoping to see. So I think it's one of those, the ones you love hurt you more. So I'm just like, fuck, there's like a movie in there that I could love. And to be fair, I think Osgood Perkins, that's the kind of movie he makes, right? Like The Blackcoat's Daughter is a movie I love that has the dumbest fucking reveal at the end ever.
Oh yeah, see, I didn't love
like,
that.
Well, that's what I mean. It's so fucking impossible to do the mental gymnastics.
Right.
That this person doesn't know this thing and whatever, right? His Gretel and Hansel or whatever, amazing, immaculately shot vibe movie. that doesn't do anything else for me, right? And I think maybe this is like he got so much closer to like the full package.
Yeah.
But it's still just it's so hollow, man. It's like watching a kid play with like weird toys. Like there's no human element in this whole fucking movie. Even the mom, who's the only person who makes a human choice in the film, we see like maybe 2 seconds of that, 2 scenes of that. Like where's the thing that I'm supposed to latch on to, I guess, is my question. You know?
Yeah, it might not be there. I was digging the vibes of this.
Vibes immaculate.
I was loving. For me, something like this is very cerebral. I'm like paying attention to the numbers. I'm looking for the shapes.
Yeah. I think the problem is the more you look, or at least I found, the less you see.
I'm thinking of these characters as like archetypes or like kind of like the embodiment.
Do you remember Magic Eyes in the mall?
Yeah.
It looks so chaotic and you're like, I've got to decode it. And then it's just like a sailboat.
Yeah.
I think this is like a Magic Eye poster in the mall.
Yeah, there's some of that.
It has all the set dressings of a well thought out, intricate movie. And you're like, it's not. It's not. I don't think anything in this movie is explained or really has a deeper meaning. Like even Longlegs. Longlegs means nothing. Longlegs literally means nothing. It just sounded cool. The birthday thing doesn't really mean anything at all. There's no numerology to it, really. It's just a cool thing. The inverted or mockery of the triangle.
Yeah.
All right, that's in every single fucking Satan movie.
Well, sure. I dig it.
Again, the vibes, awesome. Like, they shot this movie beautifully. What this movie does so much better than almost every movie I've seen since Hereditary is it really does capture this kind of dread.
Oh, yeah.
And tension in the frame. Cannot take that away from this movie. That is the great superpower of the film, is this kind of, there is an unsafeness in every frame that is very ominous and predatory. They did do an amazing job of that.
The sound design, I like.
Oh, great, yeah.
I like how sound is used, how we get dialogue that from other characters that kind of comes in and out. Because Harker is not paying attention, because Harker is focused on something else. The whispers, the hum, that electric hum of the doll
like
brain.
when they touch the brain ball, yeah.
I love that stuff.
No, the sound design is wonderful. Like, and that's they do build this immense dread. But then I'm constantly reminded that all of these people are dolls and they're not people, so I don't really feel invested or scared for them, right? And it is such an interesting shift it makes, because that opening scene is fucking terrifying, right? Nicolas Cage approaching the girl in the snow.
Yeah.
Cuckoo. Oh, I wore my long legs today. Like, that is, you're just like, fuck, if you came outside and saw that dude talking to your kid, you'd be like, this is the worst moment of my life. Fucking terrifying, right? And it slams into this score, and you're like, yes. And then it's kind of this drab FBI office. All right. And she's like, it's that house. I have a hunch. Okay. And then that dude gets shot, and she's running around with the gun, and the dude's just on the bed and surrenders. And you're like, that shit, that opening like 10 minutes or so, you're like, this movie fucking rips.
Can I just tell you?
It's so scary.
When we went to go see this in the theater, my friend bought tickets, and where I live, there's movie theaters. There's several that are within about the same distance, but in opposite directions from the house. And she bought the tickets online, and then drove us to the wrong theater.
Wrong theater.
So we had to hightail it to get to the right theater. So I missed that first 10 minutes.
Oh,
in the theater.
That fucking blows, man. No, that is a heartbreak. Because again, for 10 minutes, I was like, oh my God, this might be the fucking best movie I'm going to see this year. And then they just start unraveling that bit by bit, right? And they make Lee less and less engaging. And everyone talks in such a monotonous, monotone thing. Again, that's why I don't think we make movies with fucking marionettes every time, right? They're just less interesting. Like, these people are not people, right? No one in this movie acts like how a human being would act, and that stifles it a little bit. Even a great scene, right? Like, a legitimately great scene I loved in this movie was when they go see Carrie Ann, right? After the
so good.
Yeah, they go to the Camera family farm and they find a doll under the ground, and you're like, all right, I'm back in. This is weird as fuck. I'm in.
Yeah.
The guy they show the doll to, the guy who's like the forensic expert, he does not talk like how people talk. But that could be because I've been working late. And it's like, who is this?
I love him.
Who is this? Like, extra Peter Lorre. Like, what the fuck is happening?
I love him, and you find this in films, right? Think about the coroner in The Prophecy, the Christopher Walken movie.
Yes.
Or there's these characters, or in Kronos, the coroner in Kronos, like something about coroners and like forensic, medical examiners.
We immediately accept they could be bizarre. Yes.
Yes, those are always one of my favorite kind of side characters in a movie.
Yeah, no, I mean, sure. But it's just the tone of how they talk is fucking annoying. And then in the background, she's having like a snake vision because they touched the ball and the tone of the ball. And I was like, okay, that's interesting. But it reminded me, it's this exact like moment in the movie that's reminding me, if they are doing substance, it's not working at all. If they're doing style, then the movie works. The movie has nothing of substance to offer us on almost every scene. Like, so even the Carrie Ann camera scene, right? Okay, this is fucking crazy, man. She just woke up yesterday. Someone posed to come talk to her. You're like, all right, this is interesting. Agent Lee Harker does her, have you seen a thing? It's like, okay, well, fuck, she's not interested. Why would I be? She's bored in every fucking scene, okay? Unless she's splashing water on her face. You're like, all right, fine. Sabrina's going to save us. The Queen of Hell is going to save us. And she's like, I was just in Gladly's and jumpings off the building. Like, she's talking like she's a Gungan. Like, she talks like Jar Jar Binks. And I was like, that's a choice I fucking hate. Like, she grew up 2 miles down the road, correct? She didn't grow up on Naboo. Like, why is Sabrina talking like Jar Jar Binks and then the other girl's talking like my Surrey? It's just one of those, you're like, there are choices in this movie that just fucking get in the way, right? This is a music video that's trying to be a movie sometimes, and it just, they make bad choices a lot. Because her performance is fucking great. You're watching Sabrina, and you are totally captivated, except for the Gungan, right? So what should be a fully engrossing scene, you're kind of like, ugh. It's like a mom picking up laundry in her teenage son's room. It has to be done, but God only knows what I'll put my hand in.
And there's some great lines in that dialogue.
Yes, if you decode them from Gungan.
There's some great lines in there.
Yeah, where she's just like, you didn't remember neither.
Yes, I love it.
So there are some cool moments of dread. Like there's just fucking terror in that whole scene. You just are like, I want to get out of this room. It's fucking scary. This is a scary scenario. And then Gungan for no reason.
And we get the line, dirtsy flirtsy old angel bitch. It's one of my favorite things.
I think again, you got to talk like a human being so you can hit me with that, right? This is the difference between, like a fine pasta meal and then like when your mom just dumps an extra bottle or two of ragu in there. And you're like, well, now it's a soup. Now it's not pasta any longer. Like they overdid it on the silly words.
Slurp
so
it
when
up.
it says, artsy,
Slurp
fartsy,
it
flirtsy
up.
old bitch, you're like, by that point, I'm just like, all right. Because it's a great line. That would be a fucking great line.
It's so good.
If she had talked like a fucking human being who grew up in rural Oregon and not Naboo for the whole scene.
I will, some of the affectation is a little weird. I'll give you that. Some of her word choices sound like Longlegs, and so that...
But he doesn't talk like that.
Not with that inflection, but there's some words that are similar.
Yeah, he's not just adding two vowels at the end of every word.
Yeah, but
right?
It's a
Except
choice.
for Cuckoo, right?
It's
that
a
one,
choice.
yeah. But see, that's what I mean. This movie is always making the choice for style.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Like, this will make a cool fucking TikTok short. Right? Like, oh, that's weird. What's that? The problem is that at mass, on large, a lot of those choices fucking interrupt what could be an engaging scene. Right? I think this movie is like designed weirdly for the algorithm more than for a theatrical audience.
Interesting. That's interesting.
I mean, you can just go scene by scene and you're like, almost every scene, you're like, there's a fucking choice that interrupts what this scene should be about. There are some scenes that work perfectly, right? Like Harker in the little girl's bedroom. It's kind of a nice moment of levity after, you know, the fucking brutal murder at the start. She's talking to her about how hard it is to be a lady FBI agent, blah, blah. Small, simple, minutia. Works. And then, yeah, the very next scene will just be like her at her cabin. And you're just like, what? Like, what is that horrible fucking clip art Satan thing behind her? You know what I mean? Like, there's just more, like, even the doll, the fucking eyes in the doll just look fucking bad.
I love it.
Like,
I love it so much.
So bad. The fucking Satan with the goat ram horns looks bad.
Okay. Yes.
So there are just choices that I'm like, there are style choices that I was like, you have gone past where I'm willing to follow. Like, this doesn't work for me. The dolls look awesome. Why would you add terrible, like, you know those hologram skeleton masks you can get at the dollar store with hologram eyes? Why would you add that to the dolls that already look creepy and amazing?
Yeah.
It's fucking stupid. And it's weird because most movies that are this fucking stupid and brain dead, I would just flee. I would never watch it again. But there is some kind of fucking
but you kind of want to, though, right?
That I'm into. Yes, exactly. I am lured to this movie, despite the fact that a lot of it repulses me on an intellectual level. But I love that this kind of movie exists, right? It's a weird like duality. I have not, in my couple screenings, I have not been able to figure it out, right? Like, where does my brain stop and I'm just willing to go fucking prance around the field, right? This is not Paul Blart Mall Cop. It's not offering me that experience.
No.
But it is at the same time. You know what I mean? Like, it's probably as thought out as Paul Blart Mall Cop, but with the set dressings and the potpourri scent of something more.
This is not the Longlegs discussion.
And I like it. I don't know. There are parts of it that I like. This is what I'm saying. This movie to me is like barely on the edge of like my top 10 favorite horror films of the year. Because despite, like, here's a great example. The M. Night Shyamalan movie that just came out, Trap, right? Trap is literally the fucking dumbest movie I've ever sat through.
I haven't seen it.
Every single choice they make, you're like, no fucking way. No fucking way. No fucking way. No one acts like a person. It's very similar to Longlegs in some of the complaints that I've had, right? But the whole thing knows it from the first frame and is not trying to be more than exactly what it is. This movie is telling you this is like the dumbest fucking Lifetime movie, but with Josh Hart in it. And it's so fucking dumb consistently. They're like, it is fun. I'm into it. Like, I really like Trap a lot. Right? And I think there's something to this one where, unlike Trap, I feel like this movie could have been excellent. And the stupidity just kind of like dropped in there, right? These like flavor dots of stupidity that I can't fucking stomach hurt me. Even though I fucking love this movie.
You and I have been talking movies for years now.
Yes. That's right.
And I can see it, that it hurts you.
It hurt me.
I can hear in this rant is listeners, if you loved Longlegs and you're going like, what's wrong with Griffey? What's happening here?
Hurt.
He's hurt.
Yeah. I'm like Lee Harker's mom when it's like, you bitch, you got to grow up because of my sacrifice. How fucking dare you? That's what I feel like now.
Behind this rant is pain.
Yeah. See, that's the thing. If I talked about Trap, it can't hurt me. Right. I expect nothing from an M. Night Shyamalan movie at this point.
No.
I expect literally nothing. And what I got was a pleasantly dumb night at the movies that reminded me of watching Lifetime movies with my mom. That's it. I'm not here to tell you that Trap is a great movie or an achievement in cinema. But it's just the kind of, that's the thing.
You enjoyed it.
There is a cohesion to the stupidity. This one feels like it's hiding behind this art house like, it's mysterious. I've seen it 3 times. There's no fucking deeper meaning in this movie. None. There's no fucking mystery. There's no deeper meaning. It's just fucking weird for weird's sake.
I will say this. This movie, for me, is not about a big reveal or a twist.
Yes, this is not well, they show you the serial killer right off the bat. This is not a like when she knocks on Buffalo Bill's door at accident. It's like
right. No.
Like this is not that kind of movie.
And they're letting you know very early on.
Yeah.
It's letting you know the mother is the accomplice.
Oh, when you go back and rewatch it, like especially this time,
it's so obvious.
Those phone calls, it's so fucking crystal clear obvious.
But I think that's intentional because it's not really about like a twist or a big reveal.
Yeah.
It's about watching Harker get to the place where she can accept this. Something that I suspect she's kind of always known.
Well,
and
yeah,
either through her own not wanting to deal with it.
Longlegs lives in her fucking basement.
Oh my God.
Okay. Everyone can say what they want. That's the fucking dumbest decision ever in movie history. That is fucking insane. That is so fucking stupid. He lives in her fucking basement?
Yeah.
That's so fucking stupid.
No, I like it.
Here's another thing. The FBI didn't be like, hey, let's run a basic background check, right? The FBI doesn't all have dolls. There's not 500 dolls in fucking blue, boring suits. One of them should have been like, that's weird. That's weird. Some guy with the last name Cobble is getting mail at this house. Huh, that's strange. You think he's buying all those doll parts local? You think he's going to Tractor Supply to buy those doll parts? No, he has to have things shipped there, right? Or they could be like, that's weird. Lee Harker's mom is buying a lot of fucking doll parts. What's at every fucking murder scene? A doll. Like, again, this is a movie that fucking crumbles under the most minute amounts of mental scrutiny, right? But here, I wanted to stop on one other thing because I know we're barreling towards the Nicolas Cage in the ending, right?
Yes, we are.
I thought there was a way better structure for this movie buried within it. I think Ruth Harker is a fascinating character.
She is.
And this is my biggest fucking problem with the movie is I wanted her to be so much more important to the storytelling and how it unfolded, right? She's the only character in the movie with an arc, period. She's the only one that does anything in the movie. She is a single mom who is lonely. She lives in the woods. She's isolated, right? The first thing we see is her kid is being approached by this fucking horrifying man, right? When we see it in the flashbacks beyond the like little, like children's book kind of retellings that they do, she calls the cops. She gets her gun. She's fucking scared. She's like, no one comes to visit us, not even the big bad wolf, right? Well, the big bad wolf does come, and she sends Nicolas Cage away. He comes back and has her fucking tied up with a sock in her mouth. You're like, this is fucking horrifying. This is like the fucking single mom nightmare.
Yeah, it's the nightmare.
God only knows what can happen, right? And she, somehow in this, we don't see it, she makes the deal, right? The seventh one who makes the deal, Crimson or Clover, she makes the fucking deal. I will become your fucking henchman if you spare Lee. Which also asks the question, you're telling me other people let Nicolas Cage in their house? Like, that's not a thing. But that story is great. And watching her mother look at her as, look at everything you've fucking taken from me. Right? Even the murder where we see the dad axe murder the whole family. Mm-hmm. What's going on in that scene? The mother's rubbing a knife up her belly and stabbing the doll version of her daughter for coming out bad and ripping her body apart. So I started to see these hints this time. I was like, there's this beautiful mother-daughter story. What is taken from one to save the other. The doll being these idyllic, quiet, non-combative versions of daughters. There's something in there that's good. But again, even with a fucking gargantuan Samson-like effort to pull these threads together, they don't matter much more than that. It's a garnish. And I think Ruth Harker, because again, that scene in the finale with her and her daughter is probably the most engaging scene in the movie. And not because of the family, but because of those two.
Oh, yeah. So it's the most emotional scene between the two of them.
Yes, I think, and that's the thing. That's the one where Lee Harker shows an emotion, right? That's the one where her mom is showing an emotion. And I think that part of the story is so underserved that it is doing a disservice to us watching the movie. Because that part I thought was fucking fascinating. It's the literal deal with the devil.
Oh, yeah.
To save your daughter, right?
Yes.
It's that part I thought was very poetic and could have been a great place to touch in on more.
Yeah. And
but every time they talk on the phone or in the house, it's just devoid of the relationship. You know what I mean?
Because they don't really have one.
But I feel like even in that absence, like I know they don't, but she saved her daughter. They don't really have one. And she's mad at her daughter for what she's become and all these other dead daughters, right? Like her soul's being chewed up. Sure. Okay, but if the two characters spend the whole movie unengaged with each other, stuck with each other, it just, again, that little payoff at the end is not enough. There has to be some moment where you see the two of them yearning to fix what is not there, to fill the void that is not there, right? Or to repair something that has been broken. This just seems like all right, I'll check in on mom. And mom's like, cool, I'm watching my stories. Hey, don't ask me about the birthday. Go look for the evidence I left plainly in your room.
Yeah, see, for me, I really, and I guess this is like a personal experience thing, because my family is very like this, very like, for the most people are not engaging on an emotional level, and people are kind of going through the motions of checking in. So that I really picked up on.
Yeah, but they don't bring a movie camera to your Thanksgiving.
No, of course.
For that very reason.
So to me, that aspect of it was like, yeah, it's interesting. For me, it was like, ooh, watching this from an outside perspective, but I know what those situations are like, what those relationships are like.
Yeah.
So that wasn't a block for me. One of the things I really loved
Witt is
she's great.
Fucking killing it in this movie. She's fucking good. So good.
In the beginning you kind of think, okay, is her mom just kind of a lonely,
like a lonely hoarder,
kind of stuck.
The dad left, whatever,
person.
Right? Yeah, she's just stuck.
A little quirky, a little off.
Yeah. Life has not been kind to her.
No. And it becomes clear, I think, kind of early, that she's the accomplice. But then you're thinking, okay, it was under duress, or maybe she's under some kind of mind control, as we kind of start to realize that mind control is part of this story. I love during that last emotional event, excuse me, at the Carter home in that last murder, when you're like, oh no, she drank the Kool-Aid. She's down with the man downstairs.
There is some bizarre moments where, she's like, we'll twist and burn in hell. And you're like, that's happening anyways, ma'am. Like, what deal do you think you made? It's also one of those where you're like, man, for making deals with Satan and being Satan's like right-hand man, you're like, her and Longlegs got the worst lives ever. Like, Longlegs just lives in a basement and gets mocked by teenagers at fucking hardware stores, and her life doesn't look any better.
No.
You're like, aren't you supposed to get, like, power and influence and money? Like, isn't that the Rosemary's Baby? Like, that seems like, okay, I'll let this guy knock my wife up, but I get, a sitcom out of it, right?
Sure.
Like, I get free baby and childcare. Like, something good comes out of it. This is the shittiest deal with the devil ever.
Yeah. Well, and it's interesting that Longlegs talks about right before he kills himself about, I'll be everywhere. I won't be here. I'll be everywhere.
Be a little bit of everywhere. Yeah. A little bit of me will be everywhere.
I kind of like it as this inverse of like the Christian idea of the afterlife. Your life sucks in the here and now, but just wait for the hereafter.
Yes, it is something.
It's coming. It's like the inverse of that.
There is something to that, right? Like, most of the people I know that are the most Christian just have these like unfucking imaginably boring lives, right? Just fucking boring. And they always are like, well, if I have less in life, I'll get more in the afterlife. I'm like, that's a fucking ridiculous gamble to make. I think of it like that Simpsons episode where Bart's like, I'm going for the fun life of sin with the deathbed redemption. And you're like, yeah, that makes the most sense. So yeah, I get that as in, just like Christians, they're getting nothing for their deal. I get it. But also I was like, man, come on, like something, right? Like your daughter should at least come home once a week for family dinner and watch game shows with you if this is all you've given up. Right. But again, I think it's just the fact that they underserved. This movie's serving too many masters. Right. It's trying to be an FBI procedural that's not interesting. It's trying to do a satanic occult thing, but they don't want to really explore the mythology that much. They got to let Nicolas Cage. And then it feels like the mom and daughter thing is like fourth or fifth billing, even though it is by far the most interesting element of the film. And she's fucking, like that scene where Longlegs is hovering over her and she's hogtied. That's where you're like, now I can see the fucking terror at the core of this movie. Now it fucking makes sense and is scary. Like the dad axe murdering his family. It looks like a movie scene. It's not intense. They're characters we don't know. The violence is just there to be violence. It's set dressing, right? That scene where he's standing over her mom and she's watching kind of aloof in the other room. That's fucking nightmares. That is the fucking stuff. And they didn't want to do that movie too much.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. The dad axe murder scene, we're seeing a vision, a flash of what occurred, but we're like pulled back outside of it. We're not in it.
The camera's kind of hidden behind the doll, so it gives it this kind of false point of view period.
Yeah.
And it's just very choreographed, it's fine.
And that's intentional.
Yeah, not every movie believes in the invisible hand, right? This movie does not believe in the invisible hand. This movie is constantly pulling levers in your fucking face. So yeah, I don't know. All right, we got to get to this part. We'll do Nicolas Cage and then the ending.
Yes.
So I know a lot of people that fucking loved this movie. They had the exact inverse of me. What an awesome movie. I had a friend who specifically said, like, that movie should have been a classic, but was ruined by one performance. She's like, I've never seen one performance so ruin a film as Nicolas Cage. And a lot of people I talked to, I think, felt that way. Now, again, I think this is a movie designed for the algorithm. And now that Nick Cage has fucking stormed TikTok and Instagram and this and that, I think more people are seeing it, just on these little clips of what he did and being like, well, that's interesting. I'm into that. I do think you could make a case he's not in the same movie as everyone else. Right?
I could see that.
Bizarre and memorable in all the ways we love about Nicolas Cage. But he feels like he's in a different movie. The makeup is pretty fucking awful once we get to the interrogation room. Like, it looks like bad movie makeup. But it's Nick Cage, man. So I don't know. As a fellow Nick Cage lover, like you like me, I think just worship this man.
I do.
I fucking love Nick Cage. And just watching him do stuff like this, I was into it from the first time I saw it. I loved it. Even though I get why a lot of people would not in the context of the movie. Where do you stand on the great Nick Cage debate of Longlegs?
Of Longlegs? So...
Yeah, there's no debate in real life. If you're anti-Nick Cage in real life, I'm not even talking to you. Yeah.
The first time in the theater, I was a little startled.
Yes.
Because I was like, whoa, does feel a little off kilter.
Yeah.
With the other characters around him and with the setting. But I was also very drawn to what he was doing. This is so fascinating. Yeah. And then the little quirks of the character, I think also helped to build around him. Like, what is Longlegs about? This is just so interesting to me. And I do the makeup. I appreciate that they made him up and that he was down to be made up, because Nicolas Cage is one of the most recognizable faces.
Yeah.
If he had done this role without makeup, you'd just be like, okay, there's Nicolas Cage. I think the transformative nature of having him in this mask or this makeup prosthetics I think is cool. There are moments where it kind of shows, but I think I think overall it adds again to this ambiance, right? To the
Mhm.
atmosphere, to you're experiencing the character.
Yeah.
And so I enjoy it. And I gotta tell you, on rewatch, I love it. I'm like, I'm here for it. And let me just say, if
Yeah, it's my
Longlegs,
favorite takeaway of the movie.
if if Dale Ferdinand Cobble wasn't about murdering families,
He could
I
live in
feel
your
like
basement.
he and I could be friends. He's a fan of glam rock.
Yeah.
T-Rex. He's got that Lou
T-Rex, dude.
Reed Transformer poster in the back. He's
Yeah.
got doilies and stuff.
Yeah. He's got
I
like a
feel,
gas station tiger bedspread.
yeah, I feel, yes. And the zebra
I've definitely
pillows.
smoked with this guy.
I think if
Just
he
without the
wasn't
layer of
into murdering
Satanism.
children,
Yeah, that part's not great. That's not ideal for a friend match.
look, he's a craftsman. He makes dolls. That's
Very
really
well. He's a very good
right.
craftsman, yeah.
He likes the occult, sigils and stuff, and like
Yeah.
ciphers and codes. Like, I feel like if he wasn't trying to murder families,
Yeah.
me and Dale Ferdinand Cobble could
He's
be
the
friends.
kind of guy you would watch Longlegs with on Blu-ray.
Yes.
And that would let him
In his
extrapolate.
basement.
And you'd be like, yeah, hell
Yeah.
yeah, okay. I'll get high and listen to your theories on Longlegs.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah,
I will
no.
say too,
I watched it with my kids,
oh,
and now they only fucking summon me by going, Daddy! They do that all the time. Mommy! They do that all the time. Unmake me! Like, they don't even know what they're saying, but they fucking... Watching your children watch that scene for the first time and then just viscerally react to Nick Cage with just, like, uncontrollable scared laughter. Unmake me from the pain of being alive! And my kids were just like, what? And they were just dying, and I had to like scroll it back like 5 times so they could just fucking laugh.
so they can laugh.
And then, yeah, my youngest one, the one he really loves, is she's like, get out of here. And he's building up, and he's like, let me in now. And it could be nice.
I love it.
They were fucking rolling laughing.
I love at the end that in that final sequence
Yeah.
when we get the end of the tape where he blows the kiss,
Yeah.
the birthday song.
Yeah.
And
It's like this gross Marilyn Monroe thing. Yeah.
Yes. I think Longlegs and Cage's performance of this character, the energy he brings to this, again, experience, vibe, atmosphere. A movie like this, a character like this, it's for me, it gets me thinking, like, like, have you ever people watched? People used to do this when they didn't have smartphones.
So we play this game at every airport or restaurant where we try to decide who's the X-Files character.
Right.
Right? Like,
little
which of these
like
people
this.
is in the first scene of an X-Files episode right now?
Yeah, little
and we make
games
up
like
little
this.
Stories about them.
What's their backstory?
Mhm.
Whatever. And that thinking, like, where does this person come from?
Now, here's the fucking problem.
How did they become like this?
You've stumbled on the exact fucking problem to me of the movie, right? Because they're kind of playing him as this, like, supernatural force, right?
Mm.
Even though he lives in a sad basement, has a shitty car, whatever, right? They're playing him as he's something extra. And I think that might be a reason to kind of forgive how fucking horrendous the face prosthetics are.
Mm.
Is that he's not really one of us, right? Okay. Also, casting Nicolas Cage, there's an inherent separation audiences are going to have from the movie.
Sure.
Right? Like, maybe once in his whole life has he ever not been fully Nick Cage, and that was Pig. Right? But he's not a sink into a role guy, right? He is doing like a very big melodramatic version of whatever. And putting him in the middle of this kind of indie art house movie just changes the fucking power structure of the movie. Right?
Sure.
And his Nick Cage-ness does distract, right? And that's not a bad thing to me, but it does distract. I get that argument. There's a scene where I was like, this is the problem with the movie to me.
Mm.
When he goes to buy stuff at that hardware store, and she's just like, hey, do you need anything? And he goes, cuckoo, cuckoo. What's your birthday, child? And she's like, Dad, that gross guy's back. There is no fucking place on this planet Earth that's that rural where that guy's allowed to come in and talk to your daughter more than once. There's no fucking place. And there's no way he's making enough money not doing anything except making Satan dolls and living in a basement. That dad would come flying out of that back room and beat this man to death. That is not a man who can live with normal human being people. There's no way that on the news they're like, hey, there's a weird, brutal murder with a weird, creepy letter left by someone named Longlegs. They'd be like, that guy, he did it. If nothing else, at least question him, right? We are prejudiced as a people. He would be questioned every single time anything happened in that town. There's no way. And she remembered him because she said he's back again.
Right.
So he doesn't have some kind of like fucking satanic camouflage. That scene, I was like, that's a fucking bad scene in a movie. Right? Because then it plays so that he can do the like, mommy, daddy, unmake me. Like it's hard to be him. And I was like, I get it. They're doing the Penguin and Batman Returns riff. He was born different, and that's hard for him. Cool. Except for that he's not a fucking person that exists amongst us. He never acts like a person. They didn't even do this as successfully as the movie Powder. Or Batman Returns, for that matter.
I don't know, Matt.
You believe that Danny DeVito's the Penguin can live in that city more than Longlegs?
I've seen some very interesting people out in the world.
Same. No one like this who only talks in T-Rex lyrics in a fucking Poison falsetto. Like there's no fucking person.
I've seen some weird shit, friend.
I've seen some weird fuckers too, man.
Not quite this.
Not like this.
Your reaction to that scene got me thinking about this time when I was a kid and we were on the city bus for a school trip.
Yeah.
Why they put us on a city bus and not a school bus, I don't know.
Bad choice. Generic bad choice making.
They were taking us to the Monterey Bay Aquarium. Anyone who saw that Star Trek movie with the whales?
Yeah.
That's the aquarium.
That's my favorite Star Trek movie, yeah.
We were on the way back, and a group of us little girls, we were probably like 9, are sitting in the back of the bus, and there's this man. Mm-hmm. And he was a heavier man. He had one of those stripy sailor tops.
Yeah.
Like the French sailor.
Yeah. The bad guy in Thomas Jane's The Punisher, Kevin Nash,
wears
that shirt. Yeah.
Or like in those Tom of Finland queer art with the sexy sailors. Yeah. He was wearing one of those, but he was not a Tom of Finland sexy sailor.
He wasn't canvas ready.
and it's kind of hiked up.
Yeah.
And his stomach is kind of coming out underneath it.
Oh, yeah.
And he was wearing like a weird little hat, and he had a bag full of dead fish. Mm-hmm. And that guy was like, oh, hello, girls. And he
long-legged you?
No, he pulls a dead fish out of this bag and is like, kiss the fishy, kiss the fishy. Yeah. Seriously. I've witnessed things like this in real life. So I'm
that
just
guy
saying.
Still sounds more tolerable than Nick Cage in this movie. There's no way. There's no way that guy just gets to exist in this rural community for 30 years. It's impossible. There's no way. I thought that scene hurt the movie. If you keep him as a mysterious, just like he might be like a demon in human form.
Sure.
Right? Or he's like the man downstairs. Okay, that I can play with. I can fuck with that a little bit. Don't try to tell me this guy's lived in rural Oregon for fucking 50 years. There's no way. There's not a chance. I grew up in a rural place. These people are not cool with that kind of shit. You do not get to act like that for long. I'm just telling you.
Maybe he goes to ground. Maybe he like comes out to the store every once in a while, and then he kind of lays low.
Right, but I'm saying like they would see that car and they would hear him singing T-Rex as he walks up to the store.
Okay,
that dad would be ready to whip his ass.
I got you. Unless dad doesn't give a shit.
Not fucking press charges. No, see, that's the thing. Because the dad, even if you're a dad who doesn't care about your kid as much, you care about the insult onto you. That they would come to your business and do that to your daughter. It's an insult to your manhood. These guys would fucking pummel Longlegs into submission. He'd be putting those glass eyes in himself after they brained his ass. There's no chance in hell.
So I
Neither
think I
here nor
sent
there.
you. I think I sent you the clip. There's a great interview AP News put on their
Love that.
YouTube.
Yeah.
Nicolas Cage talking about what's behind, what were his motivations, what
Yeah.
was he drawing from. I would highly recommend folks check it out. Because he's talking about the androgyny of the character, intentional. He wanted to have masculine and feminine, kind of those energies. He was drawing from his mother, which I think is cool.
My wife was like, I hope she's passed away.
I think it's cool.
Because she's like, that would be so heartbreaking to hear. That this is what your son thinks of you.
I love that you picked up on the mother-daughter story here, and like the plight of this mother who made this deal as being kind of the real heart of this story, even if it didn't get the treatment that you would have liked to see. I love that motherhood and the way he perceived his mother, or something about his mother, is what Cage was bringing to this. I think that's fascinating.
Yeah, no, I thought I get it. Like, one of my friends really honed in, and they're like, so that interrogation scene, they're like, where Nicolas Cage is like, and then she went down, way down to do the dirty work. And he's like, that's a Jiminy Glick line. And I was like, come on. I was like, it's not that fucking bad. But like, they just hated him. They hated his guts. And I was like, I thought he was at least totally captivating. Like, when he was on screen, I was having a great time. So I liked it. And the face smashing is like very fucking shocking,
gnarly,
moment, right?
brutal.
Again, I think, and again, that's the thing. Everyone's talking shit on Nicolas Cage. The director and writer seems like he got exactly what he wanted.
Right.
Like, sometimes that's, not the actor's choice is to do performances in a certain way. Neither here nor there. All right, the ending of the movie. Showdown at the Carter's house. The birthday party we're promised at the start. This scene is really good, really scary, right? Carter and his wife sitting there. It's very inhuman. They're talking, but you can see this like dread and like panic underneath of their demeanors.
Because they're under control.
Even him cussing at her like, it was your fucking idea to have these stupid fucking cakes. And he's like, I gotta go get something to cut the cakes. And she goes, ah. Like, that moment really gets me. That's great. And then it's like, all right, come help me cut the cake. She's like, okay, I'll be back. And he goes, no, you'll be in the kitchen, so I'll be back. There's something in this moment that, again, is just like, okay, that's a choice. She didn't try to stop him from just going to fucking murder his wife. Because the mom says she's already dead.
Yeah.
And I was like, all right, is this an unreliable narrator scenario? She just woke up in the basement where Cabo lived, upside down. Her world's turned upside down. Someone calls her on the phone, like, you're late for the birthday. Probably Satan, whatever. How much of this final scene is actually happening to you?
Oh, I think it's all happening.
I think it has to, because it'd be boring if it didn't.
I think it's all happening.
That leads to like 50 more questions, though, in my mind. Why did she just let him murder his fucking wife?
This right here. This is what I love about this. The picking apart my pop psychoanalyzing of a character. And what I love about this scene, and the first time it was kind of like, there's, when you see somebody making bad choices and you're just like, God damn it.
Yeah.
Fucking do something, Yeah. I had that. The second time around, it was like, oh, this is so fascinating to watch. And I think part of Harker's paralysis here, like her just not moving to act, she kind of weakly holds the gun up when she points the gun at them when she first walks in. But as once she sees that it's already started and her mother's telling her that they're already dead, like, she's just kind of paralyzed with.
She doesn't even say, hey, don't go to the kitchen with him.
No.
It's like,
and it wouldn't matter anyway.
I get it. Harker makes essentially one choice the entire film. and it's in this scene, but it's like,
I think in this scene,
what the fuck?
I think personally, my read,
Yeah.
it's a mix of her, everything she's seen, she doesn't want to believe. The opposite of the X-Files.
Yeah. Well, yeah, because now
She doesn't
her
want to
mom blew the
believe.
head off the doll, right?
Yes.
And
She's
the
not under
smoke came
control
out.
anymore.
She's free for the first time in the movie. She should now act more like a person, but doesn't. Like,
But
she just lets
doesn't.
this lady get fucking stone cold murdered.
Yes. I
Listens
think
to him
too.
stab her what sounds like 10 times.
Oh yeah, it's brutal. I think
Horrifying.
too, the other part of it is her relationship to her mother. I don't think even with her mother saying explicitly what
Yeah.
she's done, even with Longlegs having confirmed her mother's part.
Yeah. And those flashbacks are great of her like,
Oh
and I'll
yeah.
do it over and over. So that the
Harker
little girl Lee could grow up.
Harker doesn't want to accept that this is her mother. That this is what she's done.
But she
that
would
this is
want to
what
save
she's
Carter,
done.
right?
Yes. And that's the heartbreaking part. That's the heartbreaking part.
I guess, man. I was like, at some point, your main character has to do something in the fucking movie. And I was
But
like, this is the line.
Think
This is
about
where it
in
has to
how
happen.
many she
She drove all
real
the fucking way to that
in
house to
how
listen to
many
that lady get
real
stabbed.
life scenarios do people do nothing?
Sure, she's an FBI main character in a film.
I know.
We expect a little bit more of you than how I might react.
See, I think it's moments like that where this film is more real.
Well, again, it gives it this
bleak.
diorama effect of like we're watching like, you know, a puppet show. Like it's not real fucking people. You would not let Carter take that lady in the kitchen and stab her to death. Like, why did she go over there with her gun drawn? She showed up ready for the smoke and then just doesn't do a fucking thing. So
she wanted to be ready.
That was
she
bizarre.
thought she was ready.
But she didn't do shit. And then she
Right.
does shoot Carter to protect the girl. Okay, like why did that wait till the mom was dead? Fair enough.
Yeah.
I love the moment where her mom gets up because she's kind of pleading with her. She's like, "Don't call me mom," and then she gets shot. That was cool, right? That was like a really nice moment on that underserved storyline. I thought, right?
Mm-hmm.
Dug that. What does this ending mean to you with the dry firing at the doll? Is she now going to be the new Longlegs? Even though she can't make Satan dolls? Like, it feels like Longlegs is an important part of this operation that the movie's kind of brushing past at the end. Is she going to make the same deal with the devil to save this little girl? And maybe herself, because she just shot two people.
I don't know. It's ambiguous.
What did you think this ending was telling you? Yeah, she's pulling the trigger and nothing's happening.
It's ambiguous.
To me, it was saying that this curse could not be broken. Right? That the fact that doll with the spirit inside of it exists, they did not win.
Right.
Right? That this would keep going is what I was taking from it.
Yeah. Well, and then too, it got me thinking about Longlegs talking about that he's everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
And that the man downstairs, Satan, is everywhere.
Yeah.
And so if you destroy the doll or if you don't, the influence is either focused on one person or it's everywhere.
Spread out. Yeah, I thought that ending scene was really well crafted for the most part, except for, again, your main character should, main character occasionally in the movie. But it was a nice bow on this kind of story, right? And again, I would say story pretty fucking loosely. Like, this is barely a cobbled together narrative, no pun intended. Like, it's fucking threadbare. And the mythologies they introduce are led to feel more mysterious than they are, but they're not. There's not a lot of depth or mystery or subterfuge. This is closer to a music video to me.
True Detective season 1.
Right, but see, that's the interesting one because I've never gone back to see if True Detective season 1, if their horseshit actually like panned out on like more scrutiny. It sounded interesting when you're riding in the car with this guy because everything he said was like a weird riddle. I don't know that I've ever gone back to be like, were they full of shit?
All the Yellow King stuff,
Yeah.
It
Well, that's
doesn't.
another one where, like,
It doesn't go much
spoilers,
deeper.
in episode 5, like halfway through the season, they see the guy riding on a lawnmower mowing the yard, and they don't be like, oh, yeah, that guy's fucking got a deformed face thing. We should ask him. No, we just forget about that. Yeah, maybe that show's stupid as fuck, too, when you go back to watch it. I don't know.
But I love it.
Exactly.
I love it.
That's the weird place I find myself. In talking with you, I see your love for the movie, and I see all your points, and I'm like, yeah, I can agree with that. And then I'm just like, but no, this.
Yeah.
There is a nagging annoyance with the Longlegs experience.
And as
right?
I'm hearing you give your perspective and your reactions and like how it hit for you, I can see what you're saying.
Yeah, and that's the thing. I think it's just this, God fucking damn it. It's, a cake with inextricably like a little glob of sauerkraut here and there. And it's like, why is that in my fucking birthday cake? Like, what the fuck? Just like bad fucking choice for style instead of serving the fucking movie. But maybe if the movie's goal is style and not substance, it just has the set dressings of, an FBI procedural serial killer movie. But really it is just this fucking, one of the cuntiest things people say. It's a tone poem. You're like, no, that just means it's a poorly told story. It's shot really well, right? Like, I get it. And I don't know, because I don't think this is, I think it's, again, it sounds like it's worse than it is in my mind. Right? I gave this 3.5 out of 5. I think it's so fucking good at
rating.
What it's good at, right? It's really good at the things it wants to be good at. And I think it just hurts me that it's so shallow.
That it didn't fulfill those other elements that are key for you.
If you sat down with the script and you said, okay, we're going to go over some things, right? Like, I was a screenplay analyst for a long time. And this is the process of like, this note. Well, that doesn't quite add up with this scene on this page. I feel like I could make a dossier on things in Longlegs that don't make sense. And I would imagine, right, that when fucking Osgood Perkins got it, he'd just go, yeah, I don't care.
Yeah.
I didn't really think it out like that. I don't care. Like, I got exactly what I wanted with the set pieces I had. And I'd go, fuck. And I'd throw my thing up in there, and I'm like, well, it's your movie. That's cool. But there's legitimately unexamined problems, I feel like, in this movie. And that bothers me. Maybe in a way that it won't bother a lot of people. But again, as far as tone and vibe and experience, I think this movie excels versus a lot of the other shit I've seen this year.
Yeah, it's got all of that.
The experience of the movie is very visceral. So it does have that. I don't know. What your final takeaway of Longlegs?
Like with anything, everybody's perspective is valid because we all come to something. Different things connect with different people. You want something different out of a film. So it's all valid. For me, I think this is not the scariest horror movie of even the year or the decade. I don't care about that. I really enjoyed this film for the atmosphere it creates.
Yeah.
For the experience of watching it. I like that it makes me think about things. Like my brain takes a little piece and runs off, and I create my own little stories, or I'm thinking about, oh yeah, dolls as proxies used in magic. Yeah, and I start thinking about all the instances that I've heard of where that happens. I thoroughly enjoy that.
Yeah, and it could be one of those, the more you stop and like explain every bit of it, you lose the vibe, you lose the magic, that kind of dark magic of it. So yeah. That's the movie they made, man. If nothing else, it's one of the most interesting movies and has led to the most interesting discussions with my movie-loving friends of any movie I've seen in a long time. So that I actually appreciate this movie for a lot. That's it for Longlegs. That's it. That's not it for the October Mega Marathon. 31 days, 31 pods. We've got a long way to go. Make sure you're getting all the pods by going to patreon.com/filmalchemistpod. Make sure you go to misfitparade.net to support the movies I'm making. Find us on TikTok, YouTube, Film Alchemist, all that shit. Email the show, filmalchemistpod@gmail.com. 5-star ratings and reviews. All of the fun stuff, right? Please help us out. It means the world to us this month, especially, guys. We hope you're having a blast. It's a lot of work. We love it. This is our biggest time of the year, so all of that support and love you can show. Directly send this episode to a couple of your friends that you saw Longlegs with. That kind of stuff means the world to shows like us. Yeah, exactly. So Carmelita will be back for one more episode. I don't know when that drops on the schedule because we're way ahead. The scheduling of this thing is a nightmare, as you can imagine. Would you like to tell the people what we're talking about next, Carmelita?
Oh, we're going to be talking about the Vertilac, or in French, Le Vertilac.
Le Vertilac. Yeah. I took one semester of French. I'll probably be able to handle that. Very interesting vampire movie from 2023, but really hits here 2024. So find that. Join us again. Find Carmelita on Letterboxd and X at Carmelita Says. The X, I hate it. I hate every
Twitter.
time I
call
say
it
X.
Twitter. I don't care.
Twitter.
What he can call it X if he wants. I'm calling it Twitter.
Yeah, fuck that guy. It's
Twitter.
Yeah, so find Carmelita at Carmelita Says. Do yourself the favor. Thanks again, Carmelita. And I'll see you for the next one. Maybe 10 more. I don't know.
I'm looking forward to it.
I might long legs your entire October and just make you a puppet of the Film Alchemist.
Bang a gong. Get it on.